Welcome back. The fight for democracy continues tonight in Hong Kong this weekend. Tensions are remaining high just days after violent clashes broke out between protesters and riot police at the main airport. This comes at an inopportune time for Beijing amid high-stakes trade talks with the United States. President Trump spoke out on this Thursday, tweeting out this: if President Xi would meet directly and personally with the protesters, there would be a happy and enlightened ending to the Hong Kong problem. I have no doubt, writes the president. Earlier today, pro-democracy activists staged a massive, peaceful rally in the pouring rain. It was one of the largest demonstrations Hong Kong has seen in weeks. My next guest marched in that protest. He joins me right now via Skype. Hong Kong tech tycoon, democracy advocate Jimmy Lai is with me. And Jimmy, thanks very much for joining me once again. You joined us when these protests first broke out a couple of weeks ago. What has changed in that time frame?
Well, nothing has changed. Hong Kong people are still very determined to persist the fight until we get what we want.
What do you want?
Well, what we want is universal suffrage, because we can't constantly, getting the attack and encroachment on our freedom.
And China wants anybody who's arrested to go back to the mainland China to be dealt with and dealt in their jails. You say if that bill goes through, that is the end of Hong Kong.
Definitely, because it undermines our rule of law. If we don't have rule of law, we won't be the financial center anymore, because without the rule of law, the financial center will collapse.
We're looking at these incredible pictures right now. This is just today, where almost 2 million people came out, even in the pouring rain. Tell us about the scene. What are you seeing there? And why is this so important to you that you're out there? You are an incredibly successful, billionaire, and you're there protesting the streets. Why?
Because it's everybody's responsibility to fight the dictatorship. We have to keep Hong Kong free. Hong Kong is very different from China because we share very different values than from China, because of the legacy of the British colonial past.
Yeah.
So we have to keep that. We have to keep the rule of law. We have to keep the human right. We have to keep the way of life we have had.
Jimmy, we have a statement it's a joint statement from the European Union and Canada. And they basically support the protesters. And in a statement, they write, fundamental freedoms, including the right of peaceful assembly and Hong Kong's high degree of autonomy under the one country, two systems principle, are enshrined in the basic law and in international agreements and must continue to be upheld. This is a statement from the EU and Canada. The last time you were with me, Jimmy, you made an appeal to the U.S. government, to President Trump, to support Hong Kong. Have you spoken with anyone in the administration?
No, I haven't. But Mr. Trump has already, spoken. He linked, he linked our movement with the trade negotiation, which is very good.
Well, there's, state media in China saying that America is behind these protests. What do you say to that?
Well, if they say so, they have to show some evidence, not a shred of evidence. They always lie. They can say anything without evidence, but that's not true.
Is this being used as leverage in this trade fight between the U.S. and China?
Excuse me?
Is this going to be leverage for the president in his fight with China? Connect the dots for us in terms of why this is important to the president in the United States and what he is going to do with China.
I think it's a time that United States should uphold the moral authority, the value of the West, the value of America. We are actually fighting the same war. Your new Cold War, we are fighting part of it because we share the same values with you. So it's very important for you to uphold the values we are fighting.
Yeah, you make a good...
That's the obligation and interest of you, America, to help us.
Yeah, you make a good point, because this really is a fight over values, over governance. Freedoms
Definitely.
Versus communism. Jimmy, we certainly have supported having you on, and we will watch closely the developments. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Jimmy Lai joining us live this morning from Hong Kong, where it is 10:41 in the evening.